What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast.
If you want to be successful, look inside.
We don't like sitting in the discomfort.
Then all of a sudden that day came when I got $20 and 2 free drinks to do a show, and I was like, oh shit, here we go, baby. You know?
Thank God she hasn't caught a chicken yet, because she'll tear his head off.
Don't be soft.
That patience is key.
If all my friends are winning, then it's going to make me want to win more.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a very special guest. He is a digital creator, author of Your Mind Builds Your Body. He is a mindset, fitness, and personal development coach, and he is also the host of the Roger Snipes Show podcast. Please help us welcome the one and only Roger Snipes. What's up, brother?
Hey, all is well, bro. All is well. All is well. Thanks for the invite. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's definitely exciting to have you on, man. I know we've been connected for a while, for at least 2 years now, and I know I've been watching your stuff for a while. And we had to have you on the show, man.
Oh, nice one, man. I've been loving your content, by the way. The amazing free advice you give. You give lots of business advice. You should be charging for that, but that's all good, man. It's all love. I feel that. I do the same thing. How long does it take for you to get a single post together?
Well, you know what? I will tell you, it's really made a difference having a content director on our team where, you know, now a lot of that work gets diversified, and it's really taken a lot of time off my hands. But when I was doing it myself,
forever.
You know, forever. It'll take
Too
time.
long.
It'll take time. You know, especially compiling it all together, you know, finding time to even shoot it and, you know, editing it or putting it on Fiverr and getting them to give it back. You know how it is. So it's a blessing to have a content director on our side to just help us out.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. No, you're doing a great job, and your team.
I appreciate that.
I'm trying to get this light together, man. It's just not working for me
You look
right
good,
now.
bro.
Nah,
you look good. Don't worry.
Absolutely yoked, so that's all that matters, right?
That's it.
Yeah, just trying to get,
You cover practically the whole screen.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the light isn't working for me.
So how's everything been for you? You know, obviously things are starting to relax. I mean, at least here in the States, I know with COVID. How was that transition for you, and how have you been, you know, shifting, you know, moving into 2021? And I mean, we're halfway through it now, but you know, how has that transition been for you? Anything changed? I know, you know, we were talking a little bit off camera about your new book. I can't wait to talk about that as well. That's coming out soon. So what's been new with you, and how have things been going since, you know, obviously all this chaos hit the world?
I think when the chaos started, I think it worked pretty well for me, to be honest with you. I was in no way stressed about it. In fact, I was like, this is pretty cool. Obviously, nothing to do with the deaths. I mean, I wasn't happy about people getting sick and dying and stuff. But, you know, with the whole lockdown thing, okay, you need to stay at home. I was like, all right, no worries. Most of my work is at home anyway. I do invest in property, and sometimes there's a case where I might need to visit a property. I've got some clients that I might train, and I was like, you know, I'll train you online, or you just train at home or something. So in terms of business, it was okay, you know, but what I found for me was that it just enabled me to just knuckle down and focus on a lot of things without having to move around so much. So I thought it was actually quite fantastic. So normally when I would go to meetings, and it would take me about 2 to 3 hours to drive to a meeting in a different part of UK, everyone was jumping on Zoom. So when everything opened back up and they were like, should we meet up? I'm like, nah, it's okay. Well, let's continue on Zoom. I'm actually happy with it. I know there's lots of people that they're like, yeah, I need that face-to-face interaction. I don't mind it, but I am very happy in my own space. I'm so good with that. You know, I enjoy my own company. If there's not too many people around me, I'm like, this is all right.
I feel you there, man. I feel you there.
Training has been fine as well. I have lots of equipment at home. Didn't lose out. Like, while everyone was getting fat, man, I got in the best shape. You see my pics, bro. Man.
Yeah, we see them, bro. We see them on here right now.
Yeah. Anyone who's only listening to the audio, I mean, we're looking at maybe one of the most yoked dudes I've seen in a long time. So
definitely the most yoked dude we've interviewed.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Oh, cool.
What do you got in the home gym?
Well, it's pretty much just a bench, barbells, dumbbells. But I've got like something called a power wave, which is similar to a Bulgarian bag.
Okay.
I've got slam balls, skipping rope. I got like a sandbag, which you can fill up with sand, weighted vest. Well, so I've got all these different bands which I use as well. And I've got some other optimizing equipment like my my red light therapy device, my something called a Nano V. That's super scientific. I can't even get into that. I got my sauna.
You got infrared? Or you got an infrared sauna? Or
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's a infrared sauna.
Nice. I've been looking at getting one of those in my house in Puerto Rico, and I'm super pumped to get it.
Oh man, it's the best investment ever. When I first got it, I was so in love with it. I was using it every day. I remember calling up the manufacturer and I'm like, is it okay to do that? Not really, but as long as you replace your minerals, you should be fine. Maybe skip a day or two a week.
Does make you feel great though.
Telling you, man.
It's a game changer.
Amazing. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what time you do it. Like you could do it in the morning or you can do it in the evening. Either way can work perfectly fine for you. So yeah, like, you know, also I do cycling as well. I cycle about between 10 to 12 miles. I think today I cycled 13 miles.
Wow.
And during that time, I use it as an opportunity to listen to some audiobooks or some podcasts and yeah, just getting some education, some mental focus, mental agility, and then ready to start my day. So it's been fantastic. Now the gyms are open, I almost feel obligated, like, oh man, I need to go gym. But I'm still not really going. I'll hop in to train some clients and people are like, I haven't seen you train here. I'm like, yeah, I'm good, man, I'm good.
All I'm going to say is that everything you described to me in your home, you have more than some boutique gyms have.
Oh, 100%.
Private studios.
I'm thinking like, fuck, I got to start building my home gym out like that. God damn. I'm like, I got some sandbags and some bands and like a kettlebell.
I'm like, hearing the list, I'm like, yeah, I just got this. I'm like, damn. I'm like, I wish I had all that stuff in my apartment.
Yeah, that's money.
That is money. Oh, man, that's awesome. I definitely want to dive into like, you know, the mindset, the fitness coaching, the development. What are some of the things you take your clients through? Maybe you can kind of walk us through that. I think it's very interesting, especially the different categories that you fall in. I think it is important, especially when we're talking about health all around. You have to have all those components in place to help really somebody get to the other side. So we would love to dive a little bit deep onto that.
Sure. Where do you want me to start on that?
Definitely about like the approach of your mindset, self-development, and fitness coaching. Like, how do you approach that with your clients? Like, what are some of the tools you use when you're programming for them? What are some of the things you do when it comes to working with your clients?
Right. Well, so first of all, when I got into the whole personal training, I thought it was just a case of there's people who want to get in shape and you provide a diet program, you take them through some training systems and they follow the program and over a certain period of time and they'll get in shape.
How nice would that be? Yeah, how nice would that be?
I know, right? That's what I thought. I'll be honest with you. The first time I learned about personal training was only around 2010. Before that, I was working in a subprime lender for a subprime lender as a financial accountant for a subprime lender. And I remember someone coming up to me and asking me if I was a PT. I had no idea what it was. They said PT and I thought that meant part-time. I was like, no, I work full-time. No, a PT as in personal trainer. I was like, personal trainer? What is that? And they said, that's where you train other people to achieve their fitness goals. And I was like, I still don't get it. Are you telling me that people can't be bothered to train themselves? And they were like, yeah, some people struggle. And I was like, all they need to do is go gym, lift the weights. There's nothing to it. You know, I was so confused by this concept. And, you know, I started to look further into it and I was like, oh my God, wow. I would be getting paid to show people how to do things that I just do as second nature. Easy. So I went in personal training with the idea that I could just transfer the information from my head into them. But what I started to find was people were not following the plan. And I learned that people were struggling to follow it because of predispositions in their mind, which kind of hindered them from progressing. So they had certain limiting beliefs, which was holding them back. And if I just told them, all you need to do is eat that, they couldn't do it. They tried to eat it, but then they'll just end up eating some cookies or ice cream or biscuits. And they're like, oh, I'm struggling. I was like, what do you mean you're struggling? Just eat this food. Why are you eating that? So, you know, I started to understand is like, everybody's got different backgrounds and why people, let's say, fall off the wagon or people struggle. And I realized that loads of people have different sorts of relationships with food. You know, some people eat it as a way of celebration. Some people look forward to a certain type of food all the time. There's so many things about that. So I realized that I was going to have to approach it a little bit different. And yeah, so I started to incorporate it in my personal training. I realized that most people, they know exactly what to do. Like, you know, you need to eat good, you know, you need to keep fit, you need to train, but it's a matter of actually doing it. So people need certain types of instructions in how to do it. So with that, I just changed my approach in talking to people, understanding emotionally where they were. And I found that lots of people actually needed that. A lot of people needed that sort of guidance. So we're doing the personal training. I would ask clients, what is it that makes me different from other PTs that you've had? And they said, well, you know exactly what to say. You understand how I'm feeling. And I was like, right, okay. So I then decided, okay, if I'm going to do online coaching, then rather than just doing your typical, okay, lift these weights and eat this food, I'm going to offer the whole spectrum of mindset as well. Mindset coaching and personal development. I've read over 200 books on psychology and psychotherapy. I used to have a client who is a psychotherapist as well, and we used to spend hours talking and dissecting the mind. I studied neuro-linguistic programming and became a master practitioner. But I actually done that for me. I didn't even do it for clients. I just wanted to understand how people operate. And, you know, I found myself just kind of using it with clients, you know, understanding their body language, understanding when they were struggling at certain times. And, you know, people undergo certain issues in their life. And because of that, unless they overcome this hurdle, then everything else will be, it will almost become like a bottleneck in the works of everything else. So I found that it would be good to be able to release the bottlenecks so that they can flourish in other areas. So it's been really fun, really, you know, just working with like different types of people. Everyone's got different things going on in their life. I remember I had one client who had been on antidepressants for 9 years prior to seeing me.
Wow.
9 years. And I was like,
couldn't imagine that.
I know, right? I was like, you know, as I was talking to him, I could see he was just twitching and agitated. And there were certain questions I was asking him, which was very uncomfortable for him, to the point where he was in tears. So I was like, okay, I need to step back and sort of refine my approach just to help him to be able to open up a bit more. And putting that aside for a second, I learned that the main reason for his depression was because of just his lifestyle. He needed to adjust his lifestyle. He was going to bed like super late. He was going to bed at maybe like 2 o'clock in the morning. And during that time, he would be snacking on like junk food, artificial food. And these sort of things are going to affect you. They're going to affect your I don't know, like your serotonin, dopamine levels. It's going to affect your quality of sleep. Your melatonin is not even, your melatonin is going to be shot to pieces. Your body clock, your circadian rhythm is going to be out of alignment. Mm-hmm. So that in itself is going to make you feel a little bit depressed. So once we started to look into that, we just switched up the foods and changed his sleeping pattern. He found that he was starting to feel a little bit happier, feel a little bit better. So I was saying, look, I'm not a medical professional. But what I would suggest is it might be a good idea to see if you can reduce the amount of medication which you're taking and see how you feel. You know, if it doesn't work for you, maybe you can like wean yourself back on it, but let's see if we can wean you off it. So slowly, he started to take less and less until it got to a point he was off it.
It's amazing.
And it was such a beautiful thing. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. It was such a beautiful thing. I'm like, wow, you know, the natural approach. And I feel that unfortunately, when people hit a brick wall, and they go to someone for advice, it's probably a general practitioner who would just say, do you know what, we can fix it with drugs. Yep. So,
well, that's what their whole career is about, right? Is like is diagnosing and prescribing, right? That's pretty much what a GC is there for, right? GP is there for, you know. So yeah. I get it. What do you think? Let me ask you this: what do you think? I mean, you mentioned that obviously there's enough information out there for everybody to realize and to understand, like, okay, you should be eating this much protein from these sources. You should be getting your carbohydrates if you eat carbohydrates from these sources, fats from these sources. These are the types of vegetables you should eat. And, you know, do you think that it's confidence in people's ability to actually perform these actions? Or is it, you know, a majority about trauma that's going on in their lives that affects that confidence? Where have you really seen that lag in ability to actually go out there and perform the action that's going to move the needle in their life?
There's different things, but if we're talking about food, I think it's just a relationship to food, their understanding of food, and it just depends how they've grown up with food. You know, if your parents never cooked food and always got takeaway,
that was me. This
is what you're going to grow up to understand. You know, and
it was a struggle to start cooking food, you know, for me, and like to stick with it. You know, I'm like, oh, it's going to take forever. It's like it didn't really click with me until I started to realize, like, fuck, Uber Eats takes like an hour to get to me. Like, no way it's gonna. And like, then the food's cold or it tastes like shit. I don't even like it anymore. Yeah, it's expensive. I'm like, I could just fucking cook a meal in 15 minutes and be done eating by the time that my meal would have came on Uber Eats.
And it tastes better too.
You know, and it wasn't until that, like, I just went, you know, stop being lazy, dude. You know, like, just go out there and do it. But you're right. Like, it does come down to my, you know, kind of how you were raised, right? Like, my mom was a single parent mom. She didn't have time to cook for us, you know? So she's like, all right, let's go get some food. Someone else is going to cook it, and then we'll go home, and I'll, you know, let you rugrats run around until you pass out, and then I'm going to go to sleep because I got to work in the morning, you know? So you're spot on with that.
Yeah. But, it's understanding as well that there is fast food that you can make at home, which is healthy as well. Mm. You know, it doesn't have to be fast food from the shop. And it's kind of, because what tends to happen is if you get so used to fast food, then it's like your taste buds change, your palate in your mouth changes. Like, you can only be satisfied with super highly palatable foods. So if you eat something which seems so bland in comparison, like there's no saliva stimulation, you struggle to eat, and before you know it, like, you feel starving because you can't even eat the food. So it's a bit of a process to move over to more kind of natural foods, the way it's supposed to be. Mm. But then it's also about learning how to season your food to know that, you know, home cooked food can taste really great, and you don't need to have a takeaway to enjoy nice cooked food.
Yep. Yeah, and you know what's funny, to kind of add on to your point there, is that you feel accomplished when you cook your own food, right? Which makes it taste even better, you know. And you're right about fat. Like I tell the majority of my clients that I work with on nutrition coaching, like, you know, if you're afraid about wasting vegetables, like, just buy frozen vegetables. Well, isn't the micronutrient content? I'm like, listen, you don't need to worry about that. Don't worry about that. I'm like, it's a myth anyway, but that's the last thing you should be worrying about is the micronutrient content in your just eat the vegetables. Like, you know, because you're not eating any now. Like,
and on top of that, what girl doesn't like a guy that can cook?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Right? Good point.
That did work to my advantage for many years. I'm not gonna
save yourself a couple $100 going out to eat. No. I got this bottle of wine. I'll cook a meal for you at home. Save myself $500.
My dad taught me that. It was like, don't rely on a woman to cook you food. Make sure you cook food for her. I was like, okay. And he showed me how to cook. And from there, I've been doing it ever since I was a child.
That's amazing.
So it was really useful for me because I was really interested in developing the body, learning how to cook food as well, just worked hand in hand. But like, if you want to have like fun food, if you have a sweet tooth, there's things that you can get which are sweet, which are healthier for you. You know, you can even cook with dates or something like that. You know, chop up some dates and, you know, you can chuck it in your food, or maybe some raisins, or if you make a salad, you might decide to put some cranberries in there, as well as, I don't know, chicken and I don't know, anchovies or whatever. Like, you can just mix it up and experiment, you know. I do that all the time. I had a genetics test and it said that you have a sweet tooth.
Oh, yeah?
The genetics test said that I love sweet stuff. And I was like, wow, that's true. As a child, I had so many fill-ins because of all the sweets I would eat. But as I got older, I was like, yeah, I can't continue this practice, you know? So yeah, I had to switch my eating habits, and it worked to my favor. So that's the sort of thing I teach people, how to switch from the, you know, artificial stuff, the junk food, and switch the palate which they have in their mouth, and understanding of food, seeing food more as nutrition, more as information. It's not just about macronutrients, because I see, especially bodybuilders, you know, these fitness athletes and bodybuilders, they focus so much on macronutrients. If I eat this amount of protein, carbs, and fats, then I'm going to have this composition. Yeah, you might have that sort of body composition, but it doesn't mean that you ain't going to have any leaky gut, microbiome issues, inflammation in the body. You know, you'll still have that, and you can still have diabetes.
Which is
yeah,
crazy.
it's true.
So,
it's true.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you do that you find are important to be able to not only teach your clients this, but how to hold them accountable, so that way they can, or hold themselves accountable through the process to make sure that they're consistent with it? Because I think that's another issue we see all the time, is that you'll see many of the clients, they start something maybe for a few weeks, maybe a month, and then they slowly start deteriorating back to like their old ways. What are some of the things that you do and teach to be able to keep them on track?
I just ask them to contact me. If they're unsure about something, just contact me. I say, you know, I let them know that we're in it together. They're not on their own, you know? So, you know, we're going through this together. Like, if they're struggling, I feel their pain. Let me know. Let's talk about this. Let's find an alternative. But anything you do behind my back, I can't help you. You're on your own. Do you want to do it on your own? And they always let me know if they're struggling, and we go through it together. We find alternatives. You know, I help them to give them that willpower to just keep going. But they always tend to keep to it. People who don't stick to it, I'll be honest, I don't keep them as clients. Not gonna lie. I need people who are serious, and don't hire me to just do what you want. You know, I can just take the money, but it's more to it than that. I want to see results. You know, it's pride, it's dignity. I want to see. I know what I'm capable of, and if that person is going to it's like make my work look bad because they won't follow protocols, then nah, let's not work.
It goes to say something, we talk about all the time. Like, it gets to the point in your coaching career, right? When you get started, when it's your first time as a trainer, or as a coach, obviously you're trying to build your business up. So you take what you can and you push through it, and you work with some clients that you don't necessarily want to work with. But it does get to the point where it's like, I can start picking and choosing. Like, if you're not coachable, you're not serious, you're not ready to make change, well, this is probably not for you. And it does, because it does reflect back on your beliefs, your morals, and also too your program and what you deliver overall. And you want a good reflection, not a bad reflection. And you, like you said, you don't want to just take somebody's money if they're not going to do anything, or they're lying behind your back and they're I'm doing the stuff, and they're really not doing any of the stuff. And wait, why am I not getting results now? Well, have you been doing the stuff? You know what I mean? And later on, well,
no,
maybe not 100%.
Yeah. Well, I missed a day here, or I didn't, I forgot to check in. And, you're spot on with the check-ins. Anyone who's listening who works with a coach, like, if they ask you to check in, it's not because they want to annoy you. It's because they know that that's how they're going to be able to hold you accountable, and how you're going to be able to hold yourself accountable. Right. So you're dead on with that. The clients that I know we both have, and it sounds the exact same thing for you. The clients that check in every single day are like, I tell people, like, hey, if you're curious about like what your plate composition looks like, for a meal. I mean, we've been talking about nutrition. Just send me a picture of the food. Just send me a picture of your plate. I'll tell you right now, like, what I would adjust so that you don't make the same mistake the next meal. And the people that do that are like, man, I feel great. I'm, my pants are fitting better. I can finally put this jacket on that I haven't worn in 5 years. I'm like,
or even those that go to the restaurants and how they send you the picture of a menu and make the healthier choice out of the menu, and how to be able to pick and choose what's best for them in that time, right? Because we do work with some busy individuals that probably are going to be on the go sometimes, and out there it's hard to make it's hard to make the easier and healthier choices when you're at a restaurant or one of these places.
You know what? Can I just say that sometimes it's good to give them the choice that they can go crazy.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, so I would suggest to do this, but what do you want to do? If you want to eat that other stuff, then go for it. What we need to look at is we're going to have to realize that we're going to take a step back if you're going to make that choice, which you can do it if you want. Just know that your goal will have to be pushed back a little further. So it depends on whatever you want to do. I'm with you on it. And for them, they'll be like, no. I want to stick with whatever you're saying. I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm telling you, you need to do this. I'll be like, okay, we have a couple of choices here, so I'll let them pick it. It's their decision. It's not like, oh, my coach forced me to do it. He's always on my side. He's always trying to help me out. So I think it's healthier that way, when they make the decision to make a better decision, and because it was their choice. And again, if they feel like they're struggling, normally they will contact me. If they're and it's what normally happens is because it's some sort of stress which they've had from perhaps at work, or their spouse, or kids, and it's caused them to feel cranky, or lack of sleep. So these sort of things are going to affect your hunger levels, especially sleep, that's for sure.
Oh, so much.
So your leptin, your ghrelin levels are going to be shot. They're going to be all over the place. So it's like, okay, let's give in to the hunger for now, but we'll make up for it tomorrow. We're going to need to increase the cardio, increase the resistance. Let's not force ourselves to go through that struggle. Let's just listen to the body, and then we'll work around it the next day. So this is how I normally work with clients, so that it's easier for them. I remember when I was working with a guy who was, I think he was like 62% body fat.
Wow.
I was like, dude, you got more body fat than muscle, And he was like, yeah, no, I just love food too much. I was like, you love bad food too much. We all love food. We need food to eat. But I was like, okay, no problem. Let me see your food diary. So he showed me all these foods. It was just like takeaway, and he was drinking he was drinking Coke and Diet Coke. And I was like, what's with the Diet Coke and the Coke? And he was like, yeah, well, you know, some days when I feel like I need to reduce the amount of calories, I'll have a Diet Coke. And I was like, well, tell you what, Diet Coke still is not working for you, just to let you know. You got artificial sweeteners will affect your microbiome and probably make matters worse because it still spikes insulin.
Yeah.
So I understood, because this guy loved food so much, it was certain diets would be too vigorous for him. So I had to allow him to continue eating a lot of junk food, but change things ever so slightly to change his palate. And, you know, we had like one day where it was clean and the rest was junk, just to start off with, because he'd committed years and years of junk food. And he said he's tried and he's fallen off and he's put on more weight. But as we took this approach, he was telling me that he was ready to move to another day. Let's do 2 days. And I was like, are you sure? Yeah. I want to do 2 days. Only if you're ready. Yeah, I want to do it. And because of that, it was so much easier when they are really aiming for it, you know? And before you know it, he was like at least 5 days a week, super clean. You know, he was having, you know, the cheat meals on the weekend and a couple of meals during the week. But it was amazing the progress we made. We didn't check his body fat, but he did drop down quite a few pounds.
I could imagine. But what you said right there, you know, is the difference between a great coach and someone who's, you know, subpar or even just average, right? Is that subpar or average coach is going to set these really high expectations for someone who's never going to meet them in that moment, right? Where what you were talking about is you brought that back down to a level where he could be consistent, where he could, even though it wasn't where you knew he needed to be at, you're like, okay, I'm going to meet you where you are now, right? And we're going to slowly start to build these practices, build these positive habits back into your life, right? And I wish more coaches would do that, right? Be able to take that step back and be able to really see the person for who they are and what they're willing and ready to do, right? Because they'll tell you one thing. They'll tell you, oh, I'm going to smash it. We're going to go 7 days a week. It's like, I know for a fact that's not going to happen. So, why, you know, it's my job as a professional knowing that to, you know, tell you, listen, that's great. You want to do all these things. We're going to back it down a little bit. We're going to lessen the expectation so that you can get these small wins and start snowballing them into the future.
Yeah, and that way when
Absolutely.
Because if they go the aggressive approach, and they might do it for a little bit of short time, and they're like, oh shit, I can't do this anymore. And now their confidence drops, their energy drops, their wanting of doing it drops, and this is just not for me. It's not for me. You know, and it's so true. It's like you see when there's been a pivot, especially if you look at training and coaching, you know, even 5-10 years ago to kind of where it's heading now, a lot of is these behavioral changing habits in small little gaps and making sure that they're short little strides to success versus going this whole aggressive approach and balls to the wall and let's go kill it, let's go crush it. And you're seeing a huge difference in results long-term wise, you know, so it is true. It is true.
I mean, I start all my clients off like with, okay, prove to me that you can drink 90 ounces, you know, if you're a guy, 90 ounces of water. You know, you do that for a week. And you make a 5-minute action for yourself, like just take 5 minutes for yourself. You prove to yourself, not even to me, you prove to yourself that you can do that for a week. And then we'll start talking about getting into vegetables and protein, all that. Because water is free. Water is free. Like if you can't drink enough water, like we got to start there because that's free. Everything else you got to pay for, you know, in one way or another. Water is free. Just fill it up, drink it, prove to yourself you can do it, get that small win, and then we'll start rolling from there.
You know, there's a lot of just simple lifestyle factors that needs to change, which causes a lot of issues, really. And much of it, which I've introduced in my book, is about mindset. It's just people's approach to life. It's very different, you know, it's very different. Like I've been through a lot of stress in my earlier years when I lived with my dad. You know, I had an abusive father. I ran away from home. I used to get, you know, it was a lot of discipline at home. I was beaten with the belt. But there was a lot of discipline and I learned a lot from it. And you've got many people who do kind of play victims with themselves. If they go through a bit of turmoil, they use it as a reason to punish themselves for it than a time to learn and elevate. So I think it's important to understand that there's a saying, if when God has a gift for you, he wraps it up in problems. So you need to be prepared that life is going to be full of problems.
Oh, yeah.
And as long as you are prepared to understand that this is going to happen no matter what, then you're going to have a lot more resilience to that. And I think a lot of people, they think that if they have a certain thing in their life, then they're not going to have any problems anymore. And it's almost like the whole diet approach as well. People just think, if I follow this diet, then this is all I need and I'm going to be happy, live happy forever after. And it's like, no, there's going to be hurdles. There's going to be a lot of obstacles. Be prepared for that. And it's okay, and then there's not going to be a relapse situation. But mindset is a real big thing in the whole journey, because as your body fat reduces, it starts to become harder and harder, and you can't do the same as you was before. Even like if you're really obese and you start to lose body fat, your body starts to release toxins as well, because toxins is stored in the fat. So you'll find that these people end up being sick and they're like, oh my God, I'm sick. Why is it? I'm like, yeah, your body's releasing toxins as well as the fat. So yeah, you're going to have to dose up on the vitamin C and, vitamin D and all that sort of stuff. But it's mindset throughout the whole thing, and understanding that life is not perfect will help you to get through a lot of it, and also trying to get your family on board as well. Like, so if you've got a husband, you've got a wife, let them understand what you're doing so that it's not going to feel like there's going to be some sort of resistance, like one person is doing it and the other person isn't. Like most clients that I have, their couples are doing the same thing, the other one's doing the same thing. Oh, well, what did your coach tell you? Oh, I'm learning this for free. And it's cool. Yeah, I think it's great. I encourage them, like, tell your wife or tell your husband. It's amazing. It just kind of, it makes things easier for them. But I think what is good is building resilience, really building resilience in life. One of the things I do to build resilience is when it's cold outside in UK, it can be, it's spring, and recently it's been like 2 degrees in spring. That's Celsius, not Fahrenheit. But, I will go out and I jog in a t-shirt or sometimes topless, and it's a way of putting my body under hormetic stress. And with that, it's telling my mind that this is stress, but you can handle it. So when a normal cold condition comes, I'm okay. I'm all right. But not just with the weather. It allows me to be stronger in other conditions as well. So it's a universal thing that you can use in other situations. And this is what I teach clients as well, that the pressure that you will feel in the gym, you will be able to take it in your workplace as well, or in your home with your family, your children, any kind of other pressure that you feel. But mindset, there's so many things about mindset, it's unreal.
Yeah, it really is the foundation from which everything can grow from, 100%. Right? If you have a great mindset, you start to think of things in abundance, right? An abundance of opportunities available to you. Not saying that it's going to be easy to accomplish those opportunities, right? And to take advantage of them, but they're there for the taking, right? Whereas if you have a poor mindset, like you were mentioning earlier, it's that victim mentality, right? Where you're like, oh, people are out to get me. Oh, Anthony, you're doing better. You make more money than me. And that's your fault. Like it's not because I'm lazy or I'm not doing the things or I don't have as good of a product as you, it's just because like you started ahead of me. Like who the fuck said that? You know, like most of the time people throwing those judgments don't know anything about anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They probably look at you and they're like,
good
oh,
genetics, you got good this.
Right. They probably look at you and they're like, oh man, he's fit, he's successful. And then you're like, well, I had to dig through that abusive childhood and learn from those experiences and grow from those experiences to be able to get to where I am today. You know?
And not only that, but by the way, I'm natural. I've never used steroids before in my life, or testosterone, growth hormone, or whatever stuff people talk about and take. But it's very hard to get through to people who just are uneducated when it comes to fitness. They see someone who has muscles and it's like, well, you must be taking stuff. Like, okay, I look better than you, but it doesn't mean that I'm on drugs. I've been doing this for almost 3 decades. I deserve some credit for that. They're like, no, it's scientifically impossible. I'm like, wow, are you a scientist?
And I didn't know that I didn't know science was like a yes or a no. I'm pretty sure that science is there for exploration. So I don't think it's like there's no ceiling to science.
There's no
Yeah. And you're gonna have people that project their fears, their problems and insecurities onto you. And it's important to realize that. And once you realize that, you can take ownership of your own feelings in this situation, because people are going to project their thoughts 100%. And disagree with you and be angry with you because they disagree. I'm like, what is the dude, relax. One of my posts yesterday, I was talking about some devices which I use. One of them is called a PEMF, which is pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. And it has a whole host of benefits which you can use it for. One of them is to reduce inflammation in the body, muscle recovery. But it's also got like loads of other benefits for people who have rheumatoid arthritis, lower back pain, sciatica, and like loads of other stuff. So I was talking about some of the other benefits in there, and there was a guy who commented and said, like, you don't know anything about sciatica. Why are you telling people that? You haven't got it. And I was like, yeah, I haven't got sciatica, but this is one of the benefits of the machine. And he was like, yeah, but I've had it, and you can't say that people should get it because you've not had it before. And I was like, what? Does a doctor need to have cancer first before he could treat a patient? And it just made me think, you know what, some people are going to have that mindset, and it's not worth giving yourself a free headache over it. Their mind is somewhere completely different to yours. So free yourself up, and you don't need to engage in that conversation, because it's just going to affect your vibration, and it doesn't 100%. Need to be low. You'd be like, do you know what? I'm good. I'll speak to someone else.
And you got, it's a lot of things now. It's very sensitive. There's a lot of triggers that are triggering people constantly.
Everyone needs a safe space.
And it's just like, it goes back to that. The mindset, the victim mentality, could be from your past, your childhood, could be certain traumas. But people need to also be willing to understand and be aware of what they have, understand the triggers that trigger them, and then understand how to be able to cope with that. So that way they not only let it affect them, but not most importantly, don't let it affect the people around you, right? Because I think that's what most people forget, is that when you go and lash out like that or go act up like that, it's not only you that you're causing harm to, you're also causing harm to other people around you. And you're causing a stress around driving that energy out into the world as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's different parts to that, because sometimes people have been holding it in for so long that this is the reason why they're lashing out on others, when they should be actually releasing it a bit more often. It's actually healthy to, like, if you're stressing, sometimes you might just need to scream, you need to shout.
I do primal screams every now and then.
What was that?
Primal. I call them primal screams. You just fucking belt it out.
I see a bit of a
he just calls me. He goes, Anthony, I'm calling you because I got to scream at you.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. He knows when he gets like 14 text messages from me in a row, it's time to...
It's got to be done. Like, otherwise, you will be lashing out on others.
For sure.
But I think an important thing to understand is sometimes people do hold it in because they don't want to affect others. And the truth is, like, stress is anger, but on the inside. And the problem is, people who don't release it are going to cause themselves problems.
Exactly.
So it's important to release it. And the truth is, people don't want to hear your problems, but you need to let it out, one way or another. If it's training, talking to someone, it needs to come out. Otherwise, it's gonna affect your whole system. You know, you're gonna get run down. You're gonna end up getting COVID-19. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, yeah. Well, you know, we're almost up on time, Roger. I want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're an absolute beast in the health and wellness space, and you know, I'm so glad we were able to have you on so you could share your story and share your expertise with our clients or our listeners. I'm so used to saying clients. I know you have the Roger Snipes podcast, and your book is called Your Mind Builds Your Body. Correct. Mm-hmm. Where can they find your podcast? And when I know your book releases May 11th, you said, correct? So where can people buy it when it comes out?
It's on Amazon. It'll be on Amazon. I know there's other retail places which people have been purchasing it. This is what my publishers and marketing team has been telling me. But Amazon will be great. You can pre-order it. So I don't know. By the time this is out, it's probably going to be out anyway, which is it's out next week. So yeah, Amazon, just type in Your Mind Builds Your Body, or they can click the link in my bio on Instagram, and the link is there for the book to pre-order. My podcast is also in the link in my bio on Roger Snipes, or I've also got the Roger Snipes Show Instagram page. And I just post almost like updates of every podcast on there. So it's not, the posts on there are not as frequent, but I do have people who are just interested in the podcast and they follow on that page. But yeah, on that page, the link is in the bio to subscribe.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, Roger, I got to personally say thank you again for coming on. I know we've been connected for a while now. I love your stuff, love your journey, love your materials, love what you're doing for the world. It's truly impactful. Definitely influenced me, man, and we definitely are going to continue to stay connected. You come to Miami, we're definitely going to have you in here live.
Oh, hell yeah.
Trust
Shoot some
me.
content, too. We got to
yeah.
We got to get as yoked as you first,
That's
though.
right. We're going to have to get
I don't want to be embarrassed.
get a bigger room in here. But, brother, before we wrap it up, the way I like to end this podcast, we usually like to go through some burner rounds of quick little questions. So we're going to shoot them your way. Quick answers. You ready?
Oh, wow. Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure. I see the sweat beating down. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Question number 1. If you can only pick one fitness equipment tool to use, which one would it be?
Dumbbells.
Boom. If you can only pick one meal to eat, your favorite meal, healthy meal of the day, what would it be?
Wow. I'd say a smoothie.
What kind of smoothie?
Well, it would just have a ton of micronutrients in there and protein in the works, because it's like one meal, and I actually had one right now. Well, you can't really see it because
man is ready.
It's got everything. Normally I have 2 meals, but anyway, yeah.
Love that. What has been the craziest, wildest experience you've ever had with a client?
The craziest experience I had with a client, a lady that wanted to be personal trained, but she was trying to give me instructions on how I should train people.
Nice.
And she was obese.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's good. That works out well.
How'd that go?
Yeah, that works out well.
Well, that lasted a couple of hours, and then I didn't train her again.
That's it.
I just refunded her. I said, you know what? There's many other PTs that are much better than me.
I had a client one time. She was a housewife, and she's like, I feel like I have to mold my schedule around yours compared to you molding your schedule around me. I'm like, you have a nail appointment in 3 hours. Like I'm doing 14 sessions today. Are you kidding me? Like we're not talking about this.
I think we've all can say we've experienced one like that. Last and final question, my brother. What is the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today in one sentence?
One sentence. Wow, one sentence. If it's to be, then it is up to me.
Damn.
So, yeah.
That's a good
like,
one.
You are 100% responsible for all of your actions. If you want it to happen, then make it happen.
I love that.
That's a great one.
Love that. Great way to end this.
Ooh. Roger, one last time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the Sweat It Out podcast. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to the next one.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. God bless, bro. Brothers, appreciate it, man. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, thank you
Much
so
love.
All love, man. All love.
Thank you so much.
Take care, man.